Hey guys, thanks for joining me again this week for Big J's Car College. This week we're going to start talking just a little bit about leasing. And my goal is for you to not be afraid of a lease, to understand it just a little bit more, and to know what some of the benefits and what some of the pitfalls are with a lease. Speaking in generalities, a lease is actually a very good option for a lot of people. In fact, I came to learn selling new cars that a lease was a great option for people, especially young people who are looking to grow their family in the future. There's a few things I want to talk about that you need to know, and we'll go on with this leasing series for a little bit, so just a few tidbits for tonight. Here's some quick advantages of a lease. On a leased vehicle, first of all, the number one thing that everyone gets confused about is even though you're essentially renting the car in a lease, you still have a payoff on the car just like you're purchasing it. In fact, if you were to call them up the day after you sign the lease paperwork, you would be able to get a payoff for that vehicle. This is a very big deal for an important reason. My number one rule when I would lease a car to someone is never, ever, ever lease with the intention of turning that lease over to the dealership again when the lease is over. When you lease with the mindset of, I'm going to use this car, I'm going to have a lower payment than if I purchase it, and I am going to get out of this car before my lease comes up. And you can do that because there's always a payoff. In fact, you're going to know when you sign the lease paperwork exactly what that car can be bought for by you at the end of the lease. For example, you might buy a car that's $24,000. At the end of the lease, you're going to know when I go to turn this car in, I have the choice to turn it in, to trade it in, or to buy it outright. Those are your three options. Big thing that most people don't know. What we want to work towards is if you're going to lease, most of the time you're going to want to trade it in or sell it outright through a small dealership or a broker like myself and get out of that lease forever. I'm currently in a lease. I took a 3-year lease with 10,000 miles a year for a total of 30,000 miles. In my Mazda. I have 1 year left on my lease, and I'll tell you, I just rolled over. I'm at 30,613 miles as of right now, and I'm not worried at all. And here's why. The market on the car right now is about $19,900. What I can buy the car for, my payoff, is $18,847. So I'm in a bit of an equity position if we do things right. The same can be true for you. You can get out of that lease without having to turn it in, without having to worry about condition reports and did you go over miles, and most people don't know this. This is the number one thing I want you to know. The other thing I want you to know is this, and it's one of the downfalls of leasing. You will have lower payments, but you will pay more on a lease to register it every year because you're always going to have a new car to register. Be mindful of that. Another cool thing about leases is you're not going to have to put a lot of money out of pocket to finance because the taxes are paid monthly on your lease payment. So if you live in a low tax area, it's great. Your monthly taxes get paid on that lease. It's a beautiful thing. Another thing that's really important on a lease is if you drive a ton of miles, leasing is probably not for you. You probably already know that. But if you're someone like a lot of people I know, maybe you need another family car, maybe you need something we only drive, 5 to 10,000 miles a year, you might want to look at leasing. You can lease something inexpensively, and you can get something pretty nice for the family, for that commute. And a lot of times what I want to tell people is this. You want to look to do a lease on a car when the model year first comes out. Those are when the rates are best. The longer you go into a year, the harder it is, the more that car's already depreciated, and leases are based on depreciation. So when the 2017 models are starting to come out right now, in 2016, this is the time to lease because your residuals are amazing. You're going to get good interest rates on the lease, you're going to get high residuals, it's going to be worth more. So your value is going to keep longer on that car. The longer you get into a year, right now the 2016s are going to start getting stale. We're coming into the new model releases. That is not the time to lease a car. Do not lease a car that's the end of the year model. Always lease the new ones. These are just a few things I hope that this stirs up some questions because leasing is a huge topic. So send me some questions if you have some ideas. Next week I want to talk about how you can bury your negative equity and get out of it by using a lease. So I'll look forward to talking to you next week. Please, if you have questions, shoot me an email, send me a message here on Facebook. We would love to address your questions specifically. And thanks for taking a few minutes to learn with us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.